downtown fooling around, took me to the jail. Oh, me and it's so, my ain't no one to go my bail. It was late last night when old Willie came home. I heard him rapping on the door. He is a slipping and a sliding with them new shoes on. Mama said, Willie, don't you rap no more. Way downtown fooling around, took me to the jail. Oh, me and it's so, I ain't no one to go my bail. Wish I was over at my sweet Sally's house, sitting in that big armchair. One arm around my old guitar and the other one around my dear. Way downtown, fooling around, took me to the jail. Oh, me and it's so, I ain't no one to go my bail. One old shirt is about all I've got, and $1 is all that I crave. I brought nothing with me into this old world, and I'll take nothing to my grave. Way downtown, fooling around, took me to the jail. Oh, me and it's so, I ain't no one to go my bail. About my turn to introduce, I reckon, these two fellas right here. Somebody already said some kind words about me, so I better say something about these boys right here. Anyway, if you folks looking in on us tonight, if you don't know who I am, I ain't gonna tell you. A good friend of mine over there on the end doing the good guitar playing. You'll find out how good he can pick directly when we turn him loose on something. My son, Merle Watson. Let's make him welcome, would you? He's from down there at Deep Gap where I live, and the man in the middle here, well, he's originally a Tar Heel, but he's presently from Nashville, Tennessee, Mr. T. Michael Coleman. Let's make him welcome, would you? Michael wrote this next little song right here. He must have been awful lonesome about some pretty little girl. It's called Sadie. High on a hill sits a whippoorwill, singing out his old lonesome song. Is it he, or I wonder if it's me, for I've been away from Sadie too long. Sadie, Sadie, oh, what a lady, Sadie, Sadie. Oh, what a girl, Sadie, Sadie. Oh, what a lady, Sadie, Sadie. Sadie, you're my world. I'll pick it, Merle. Oh, the scent of your hair and your pretty face so fair haunt me when I'm away from you. Those pretty eyes that say I love you every day, turning all my stormy skies to blue. Sadie, Sadie, oh, what a lady, Sadie, Sadie. Oh, what a girl, Sadie, Sadie. Oh, what a lady, Sadie, Sadie. Sadie, you're my world. While the moon shines bright, will you meet me tonight under that old lonesome pine? And I'll ask you till you tell me that you will, that you'll forever be mine. Sadie, Sadie, oh what a lady. Sadie, Sadie, oh what a girl. Sadie, Sadie, oh what a lady. Sadie, 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 you're my world. My first musical instrument, stringed instrument as such, was a little homemade banjo that my dad made me when I was 11. But I reckon, although it came second in my life as far as owning a musical instrument, my dad helped me get me a little guitar when I was 13. I believe it was a Stella. Yeah, it was a Stella guitar. And I fooled around with it some along. But I really started trying to learn something about the guitar. Oh, in my later teens, 17 or 18 years old, I began to work on it some, and try to really learn how to play something. And I'd go to fiddlers' conventions, played a whole bunch on the street, earned a few dollars on Saturdays, on the weekends, when the weather wasn't too cold. And Ralph Rinsler came down to the Union Grove Folk Festival along with a fellow named Gene Earl. They both were living in Passaic, New Jersey at the time. And Ralph was working with the Greenbrier Boys group. You've heard of them, I guess. They were part of the folk festival movement in the early 60s. Anyway, Ralph came down here looking for Clarence Ashley, one of the old timers in country music. And Clarence, when he found him at Union Grove, told him about me, and Ralph came and got acquainted. And when he heard me play, to make a long story short, he convinced me over my better judgment that I had something to offer in the way of entertainment in the folk music revival. So I got started in it, along with my father-in-law and my oldest brother. We made a few trips together, and a couple of fellows, Fred Price and Clint Howard, along with Tom Ashley. And then in '64, with Ralph's help, I did my first solo concert tour. And in June of '64, I came back in May, and Merle had started learning to play the guitar. And in June of '64, he went to the Berkeley Folk Festival with me. And from then up to '66, he played some on the weekends. He was still in school, and in '66, Merle started working on the road solid with me. And, well, we've been at it ever since. Lord help us. Merle, when you get that guitar back up over there, son, I guess we better do a little flat picking right here. Some of these fellers might say, hey, they never knew no flat picking for us tonight. We'll do a little of the Big Sandy and a little bit of Old Joe Clark. And when you get down there somewhere in Old Joe Clark, Merle, I might grab a hold of that and play a little twin lead in it. Yeah. Oh, player, son. Now we'll move over to the 60s time when some of them good songs are being written. That Bob Dylan wrote a whole batch of good songs. And I'd like to get Merle to do a little fingerstyle on one that Bob wrote called Don't Think Twice. When he gets all geared up over there. I run old Joe over one of them wires, Merle, untune one of them there. A little bit. 2, 3, 4. Ain't no use to sit and wonder why, babe, if you don't know by now. Ain't no use to sit and wonder why, babe, 'cause it don't matter anyhow. When that rooster crows at the break of dawn, look out your window, honey, I'll be gone. You're the reason that I'm traveling on. Don't think twice, it's all right. And there ain't no use in turning on your light, babe, like you never did before. And there ain't no use in calling out my name, gal, 'cause I can't hear you anymore. Still, I wish that there was something that you could do or say to try to make me change my mind and stay. But we never did too much talking anyway. Don't think twice, it's all right. traveling down this long, lonesome road, babe. Where I'm bound, I can't tell. Goodbye's just too good a word, gal. So, honey, just let me say fare thee well. And I'm a-thinking and a-wondering, as I walk down this old road, I've loved a woman, but a child, I'm told. I gave her my heart, but she wanted my soul. Don't think twice, it's all right. Greg, and if I could see, I never would have gone into music as a profession. I'd have done some other job. I wouldn't have, somebody said, well, you wouldn't have been as many places and you wouldn't know as many people. No. But I would very likely know my family a lot better by knowing the children and being with them a lot more. I could come home at night. But it wasn't meant to be that way, and so it forced me to use that part of the talent that I was born with, the musical inclination, that whatever I may have, I think it's God-given, and the handicap forced me to develop that because I needed to earn a living. It didn't make me listen any better, and I don't think it made me learn any better. Maybe if I could see, I might have learned a little more about the theory of music, even though it would have been a hobby. I think I still would have played a lot. But I don't think it had that much effect. I think the handicap in other ways affected me personally. It caused me to have a persecution complex or insecurity for a long time. And all at once I realized that, and in all probability, and I don't know what your feelings are about this thing, I think that the handicap was allowed to be mine as a deterrent. I think I might have been maybe a bit stuck up or haughty if it hadn't been for that. And I think maybe the good Lord thought I needed it. I really have come to that conclusion over the past few years. There's a feeling about this place that it's just exactly like it was when I step outside sometimes on a cold winter morning when the air is so cold that it almost bites your nose the very minute you step out in it, or your ears. Or a beautiful spring morning when you can hear maybe 15 different species of birds within a 3-minute period, or maybe within 1 minute. And the feeling is still the same as it was when I was a little boy. I love this country, the mountains, I think it's the spirit of it, you might say. I don't know hardly how to put it into words. And somebody asked me once why I didn't move to the city since I'm in the music business. I said, well, I have to travel all over the country anyhow, so I might as well live where I like it the best. Summertime, and the living is easy. The fish are a-jumping, and the cotton is high. Your pappy's rich, and your mammy's good-looking. Hush, little baby, honey, don't you cry. One of these mornings, you're gonna rise up singing, gonna spread out your wings and take to the sky. Until that day, you can hush up your crying, 'cause your pappy and your mammy's standing by. Lord, the catfish are jumping and the cotton is high. Your pappy's rich, yeah, your mammy's good looking. Hush, little baby, honey, don't you cry. Hush, little baby, don't you cry. We have a new record that'll be coming out in the spring, and it incorporates everything from a good old traditional banjo tune all the way around to a Dan Fogelberg tune, which we ain't going to do right now. We're going to do one that Brother Merle Travis wrote back in the 40s, and it's a fun song about the inconveniences of the smoking habit. Not only, he didn't write this for the Cancer Society, he wrote it just because, he'd been bothered some. And it's called Smoke, Smoke, 2, 3, 4. Go, Michael. Now I'm a fellow with a heart of gold, with the ways of a gentleman, I've been told, the kind of a guy that wouldn't even harm a flea. But if me and a certain character ever met, the guy that invented the cigarette, I'd murder that son of a gun in the first degree. Well, it ain't because I don't smoke myself, and I don't reckon they hinder your health. I smoked them about half my life and ain't dead yet. But nicotine slaves are all the same at a petting party or poker game. Everything's got to stop while I have a cigarette. Smoke, smoke, smoke that cigarette. Puff, puff, puff it if you smoke yourself to death. Tell St. Peter at the Golden Gate that you hate to make him wait. You just gotta have another cigarette. In a game of chance the other night, old Dame Fortune was doing me right. The kings and the queens just kept a-coming around. I caught a full, and I bet him high, but my bluff didn't work on this certain guy because he just kept raising and laying that money down. He'd raise me, and I'd raise him. Sweated blood, got a sink or swim, but he finally called, and he didn't raise the bet. I said, ace is full, pal. How about you? And he says, well, I'll tell you in a minute or two, but right now, I just got to have a cigarette. Smoke, smoke, smoke that cigarette. Puff, puff, puff it if you smoke yourself to death. Tell St. Peter at the Golden Gate that you hate to make him wait. You just gotta have another cigarette. The other night, then, I had a date with the cutest little gal. She sure did rate. She was a high-bred, uptown, fancy little thing. She said she loved me, and it seemed to me that things was just about like they ought to be, so hand in hand we walked right on down Lover's Lane. She was oh so far from a chunk of ice, and her smooching party was going real nice, and so help me, folks, I think I might have been there yet. When I gave her a kiss and a little squeeze, she says, now, excuse me, please, now it's bound to have another cigarette. Smoke, smoke, smoke that cigarette. That ruined my vanity. Puff, puff, puff it if you smoke yourself to death. Tell St. Peter at the Golden Gate that you hate to make it wait. You just gotta have another cigarette. I've heard a lot of funny things that some of them probably really happened, and somebody that wanted to have a good laugh out of some folks probably made some of them up. There's a good chance that this little tale I'm going to tell you did happen. There was a very devoted Quaker fellow moved into a community, and you're a Baptist, and in spite of their differences in religion, they got along something wonderful as neighbors, helping each other with farm chores and in every way they could. One day they went down to the stock sale, and that Quaker was unlucky enough to buy the meanest milk cow that the good Lord ever let give milk. He kept her the rest of the summer, and she'd bruised his poor old knee quite a few times with that wicked hind foot while he was sitting there on that stool of milk. And one morning after it'd come a big frost, and that old cow'd been down that briar patch and scratched them udders all over, he come out there to milk, and she stood there and shivered and quivered like old Elvis, till the milk was about ready to come over the top of the bucket, and the foam was, She kicks Quaker stool and all over, and he rolls down the bank, and he gets up and looks at her. Oh, man, he's mad, but he don't say nary a word till his temper cools. And he walks up, and he pats her on the head. He said, "Nay, bossy, I cannot strike thee, but on the morrow I'll sell thee to a Baptist, and he'll beat the hell out of thee." His little country church decided they'd get him one of them preachers that'd been to the seminary that know them $5 words and let their little country preacher go. And when he moved into the parsonage, he was a fellow that wore the suit and tie the whole week long and drove a big Cadillac. He was driving along on the little country road through the little hamlet one Sunday afternoon after the sermon, and he saw this little old red pickup truck wobbling along, coming right close up behind him in his rearview mirror. About the time the old boy went by, and he almost sideswiped him because he'd had a few drinks to sober up on from a drunk he'd been on the night before. He looked over at his wife and he says, "Poor fella, he must be sick." And said under his breath, "As soon as I get the chance in a straight place, I'll hit my passenger gear to get around that fool. He'll run me down the road and kill me." Right just in a minute, here comes a little straight patch in that road, and he takes off in that Cadillac. When he gets to the end of the straight place, he's by the little red pickup truck, but she won't corner. She goes off over the embankment, tears the Cadillac all to pieces. Well, here comes a little red pickup truck. He sees the accident, you know, and I mean, he's a good old Samaritan, you know, and wants to help him. The thing's missing on 3 or 4 cylinders. He rolls up to the edge of the embankment and stops it right easy, and he gets out, looks down, he says, "Hey, fella, are you hurt down there?" And luckily, the preacher nor his wife either weren't hurt much. He was helping her out of the wreck. Preacher looks up at him and kind of grins. He said, "No, we're not hurt. The Lord's riding with us." He says, "Well, I believe you better let me take him the rest of the way. You're going to kill him." Georgia. Well, it's just Boston Merle style. We listen to a lot of people. I think Merle, if you ask him who his favorite musician was, there would be 2 people. It would be his grandfather, Gaither Carlton, and the late Gaither Carlton. He was with us up until '72, and then the late John Hurt.
My mother started me out when Dad was out on the road. And the first 2 years, I learned from just being around all the festivals.
Yeah.
I guess my main influence was Mississippi John Hurt.
He learned an awful lot from his grandfather on the banjo. In fact, all his frailing just came from Gaither, the style. And John Hurt, well, John Hurt made an impression on everybody that listened to him. It wasn't only his music as a man.
It was on the first concert I ever done. Boy, I just, what? I couldn't believe the music he did.
John Hurt was one of my favorite people and favorite musicians out of the rediscoveries of the old-timers and the folk scene in the 60s. And Merle and I had the pleasure of playing a whole lot of music on shows with John Hurt, and we actually had the pleasure of sitting down and picking some tunes with John a lot of times. And we'd like to do a song here that me and Michael kind of likes to sing, too. I kind of like the flavor of this song. I guarantee you Merle will give you some of the John Hurt flavor on the guitar. He plays a little stronger than Brother John did. But you'll hear the flavor in there, those of you that are familiar with John's music. Make me down a pallet on your floor. All right, Merle. Oh, pick it, son. Make me down a pallet on your floor. Make me down a pallet on your floor. Honey, make it down, make it soft and low. And then maybe my good gal, she won't know. I'm going up the country through that sleet and snow. I'm going up the country through that sleet and snow. Yes, I'm going up the country through that sleet and snow. Ain't no telling just how far I'll go. Get my breakfast here and my dinner in Tennessee. Get my breakfast here and my dinner in Tennessee. Well, I'll get my breakfast here, my dinner in Tennessee. I told you I was coming, so you better look for me. Make me down a pallet on your floor. Hey, make me down a pallet on your floor. Honey, make it down, make it soft and low. And then baby, my good gal, she won't know. All right, Merle. Well, now you know that I can't lay down on your bed. Hey, you know that I can't lay down on your bed. Now, honey, I can't lay down across your pretty bed, 'cause my good woman, she might kill me dead. And don't you let my good gal catch you here. Don't you let my good gal catch you here. If you do, she might shoot you, cut and stab you too. Hey, it ain't no telling what all that gal might do. Make me down a pallet on your floor. Make me down a pallet on your floor. Honey, make it down, make it soft and low. And then maybe my good gal, she won't know. The way I've been sleeping, my back and shoulders tired. The way I've been sleeping, my back and shoulders tired. Well, the way I've been a-sleeping, my back and shoulders tired. I think I'll turn and try sleeping a while on my side. Make me down a pallet on your floor. Make me down a pallet on your floor. Honey, make it down, make it soft and low. And then maybe my good gal, she won't know. Pick it, son. Long about 1939, Brother Roy Acuff recorded a song called The Streamline Cannonball. And I got to think about this song a long time after that one day, and I thought, well, now that Streamline Cannonball didn't waltz down the railroad track, you know, it got a move on. Oh, Roy played her kind of like this. She moves along like a cannonball, like a star in its heavenly flight. Well, I thought it ought to go a little different from that, something like a... Moves along like a cannonball, like a star in its heavenly flight. The lonesome sound from the whistle you love as she rambles on through the night. Long steel rail and a short cross tie, I'm on my way back home. I'm on that train, the king of them all, the Streamline Cannonball. Moves along like a cannonball, like a star in its heavenly flight. The lonesome sound from the whistle you love as she rambles on through the night. I can see a smile on the engineer's face. And although he's old and gray, a contented heart, he waits for his call on that streamlined cannonball. She moves along like a cannonball, like a star in its heavenly flight. The lonesome sound from the whistle you love as she rambles on through the night. Headlight she beams all out through the night, and the firebox flash you can see. I ride the blinds, it's the life that I love. It's home sweet home to me. She moves along like a cannonball, like a star in its heavenly flight. The lonesome sound from the whistle you love as she rambles on through the night. As she rambles on through the night.
We did 108 playing nights this last year. But still, it robs you of the intimacy of the family life at home, something that I guess, I don't know, maybe there are city people that feel as strongly about it, that have grown up in the city. But us mountain folk feel pretty strong about families and the close-knit family life of home, fireside, being at supper table and breakfast every morning with your wife and your children. To me, it means a whole lot. And I reckon that ain't nothing to be ashamed of, by no means. I think it's, there's some clubs I like to work, but I really prefer concerts, listening audiences. They're much easier to work to. And the set goes so smooth when you have an audience that are really there to hear what you're doing. You know?
Come to hear.
Ladies and gentlemen, songwriter, singer, Grammy Award winner, let us welcome Doc Watson.
I went out one morning for to take a little walk, and I came upon that Wild Bill Jones. He's a-talking and a-walking by my true lover's side, and I bid him for to leave her alone. He said, young man, I'm a past 21, too old for you to control. When he pulled out his knife, Lord, I reached for my gun and destroyed that poor boy's soul. I've got a little money in my pocket, boys. Won't you come and have a drink or two? For I've taken the life of that Wild Bill Jones, and I don't know what I'm going to do. Fill your glasses up to the brim and let the drink flow free. For today was the last of that Wild Bill Jones. Will tomorrow be the last of me? I got out of jail without any bail, for the judge said I was a free man. Then I looked all around till my true love I found, but she said I couldn't see her again. Yes, I took the life of that Wild Bill Jones, but he still took my true love from me. Lord, I've been overtaken by a worried mind. Will this trouble never set me free? Yes, I've been overtaken by a worried mind. Will this trouble never set me free? You ask me why I ramble, and you want to know why I roam. You better wondering why I run all around and I ain't never had a home. My daddy was a gambler. He rambled all over this land. I'm just a chip off the same old block. I'm a natural-born gambling man. I'm a natural-born gambling man. Yeah, I'm a natural-born gambling man. I can throw a set man, follow where they live. I'm a natural-born gambling man. Pick it, son. I rambled off down to Memphis, and then I met old One-Eyed Sam. He said, come here, son, let's have a little game. So I throwed that money down. He snuck one off of the bottom. I seen him when he got his hand. I pulled my gun and I mowed him down. I'm a natural-born gambling man. Well, they hauled me down to Lashville, of course, and locked me in a dirty old cell. But they give me a number for my name. 'Twas a number that I loved so well. It is 3 7s and 11. That's a good hand. I knowed right then that I won again. For I'm a natural-born gambling man. I'm a natural-born gambling man. Yeah, natural-born gambling man. I can throw a 7-man, follow where they live. I'm a natural-born gambling man. On the day that I got my pardon, the warden, he says to me, son, why don't you take some good advice and let that old gambling be? I said, now, look here, Mr. Warden. Let's me and you just play one hand, and I'll bet you 10 that you can't win, for I'm a natural-born gambling man. I'm a natural-born gambling man. I'm a natural-born gambling man. Yeah, I can throw a 7-man, follow with a lip. I'm a natural-born gambling man. Natural-born gambling man, ooh, a natural-born gambling man. Old Jody picked the cotton in the forks of the branch. I'm a natural-born gambling man. Merle, I believe we're going to be able to get 2 of John Hurt's tunes in. You see me pull that mic off there, Michael? What about that? Turn that thing around the way I want it to. It runs from it just like it's scared of me. If I happen to blow on it right hard, it goes. Well, anyway, oh, that slide guitar. It is time for that thing on the show. Yeah, man. He's got that. He's going to get that thing warmed up. Now, he plays that job with a Sears Roebuck Craftsman socket range. He does. Merle, touch your 3rd on there. Let me tune this guitar. Oh, it's already right, I thought. Ain't no use to be in too big a hurry about it. I'm going to get that damson-flavored harmonica up here, if I can find it out of that pocket there, and we'll do one that John heard. I believe this is one of John's own tunes called I Got the Blues and I Can't Be Satisfied. Merle, we'll let you start this at your own discretion, son. Yeah. Well, I got the blues and I can't be satisfied. Yeah, I got the blues and I can't be satisfied. If the blues don't quit, I'll catch that train and ride. I bought my woman a great big diamond ring. Yes, I bought my gal a great big diamond ring. I took it right back home, caught her doing that same old thing. I said, baby, what makes you treat your man this way? Hey, honey, what makes you treat your man this way? You know I want anything you give away. All right, son. Well, I grabbed my gun and I broke the barrel right down. Hey, grabbed my shotgun, broke that barrel right down. Lord, I put my baby 6 feet under the ground. Then I cut that joker so long, deep and wide. I cut that joker so long, deep and wide. But I've still got the blues and I can't be satisfied. All right. straight will drive your blues away. Hey, whiskey straight will drive your blues away. Well, if that be so, I want a quart today. Yes, I got the blues and I can't be satisfied. I got the blues and I can't be satisfied. If these blues don't quit, I'll catch that train and ride. Take it one more time. Thank you very much. I'll get that little sheen down there out of my way. I might swallow that thing on the hard notes on this next one right here. Guess we better do a Jimmy Rogers tune, Merle, to get kind of well rounded out. Here's one of the last songs that Jimmy recorded. It's a song that borders on the line of contemporary music from the old blue yodel country style things he did. It's called I Miss the Mississippi and You. I'm growing tired of the big city lights, tired of the glamour, tired of the sights. I'm always dreaming of roaming once more back to my home on the old river shore. Days are dark and dreary everywhere I roam. Lord, I miss the Mississippi and you. And nothing seems to cheer me under heaven's dome. How I long for Mississippi and you. Roaming the wide world over, always alone and blue, so blue. I am sad and weary, longing to go home, 'cause I miss the Mississippi and you. The mockingbirds are singing round the cabin door while I dream of Mississippi and you. And my memories are bringing those happy days of yore I have spent in Mississippi with you. Roaming the wide world over, always alone and blue, so blue. Longing for my homeland on that muddy water shore. I miss the Mississippi and you. The Mississippi Here's a little fun song. Just maybe a tad rocky the way we do it. It was written by one of the old-timey blues songwriters and recorded back in the 30s. And the name of this one is Arrangement Blues. Baby, I will split your kindling, honey. I'm gonna build your fire. I'll do anything your little heart desire, mama. Hey, can you tell me who might your manager be? Well, if you ain't got a manager, make arrangements for me. Oh, no, I ain't too handsome, honey. I don't dress so fine. But when it comes to loving, gal, I'll pacify your mind, mama. Hey, can you tell me who might your manager be? Well, if you ain't got a manager, make arrangements for me. Hey, arrange it, son. I wish I was a big old fish swimming along in the sea. And I wish some sweet little thing like you would get her hooks in me, mama. Hey, can you tell me who might your manager be? Well, if you ain't got a manager, make arrangements for me. Provider, baby, I ain't gonna fail. I ain't got no other women tied to my coattail, mama. Hey, can you tell me who might your manager be? Yeah, well, if you ain't got a manager, make arrangements for me. I take her out together, son.
Wanted to keep the music alive. I guess we could, and yet not become known as art musical hardheads in the folk music world, sticking to one little niche. We added a whole lot to the sets as we came along without throwing away the roots. Homemade music, son. I don't think you can find a better word for it. So I pick what I hear at the time, and I might not play a tune the same way tomorrow night that I'll do it tonight. What do you think of that, man?
Thank you very much. You know, I told the man on an interview a while ago, I told Ed that my first instrument was a little 5-string banjo, but actually it wasn't. It was one of them little things right there. The first thing I ever had, a little bitty boy used to get one for Christmas every year. They used to cost about $0.25, now they're about $10. And there's a national anthem. We've got one that they make you stand up to at the ball games that goes, well, we're all familiar with that. And there's another one that was popular way back yonder in the colonial days. And then there's another one that goes like this. wish I was in the land of cotton. The old times there are not forgotten. Look away, look away, look away in Dixieland. In Dixieland where I was born, 'twas early on one frosty morn. Look away, look away, look away in Dixieland. Well, I wish I was in Dixie away. Hooray! I wish I was in Dixieland to live and die and take my stand away, away. Yes, away down south in Dixie. Good night, and God bless every one of you.
You grew up in a musical household. Can you talk about music in your family when you were a kid?
I think it was no more musical than the average. My father never played old-time banjo a single time that I know of during my lifetime until I was about 11. Then he made me one that summer, and I heard him play a few tunes on it. My mother sang a few ballads around the house. But from the time I can remember, I loved music, be it Carson Robinson and the Buckaroos or Gid Tanner and the Skillet Lickers. It was part of the old-time music we had in the little wind-up phonograph. There was a collection of about 50 recordings, old 78s, that came with it. And to me, music was something wonderful and magical ever since I can remember.
How about the radio? Who'd you hear on the radio? I remember reading.
Oh, and when the radio came in, I was already going to school at that time in the 30s when the radio came in our house, early 30s. The Delmore brothers, the Carter family, gosh, all the people that would have been on the Grand Ole Opry at that time, Sam and Kirk McGee and Dave Macon, Roy Acuff, all those people. And then Merle Travis later on in the late 30s, early 40s.
I remember reading that you were influenced by Jimmy Rogers too.
Jimmy Rogers was part of the record collection, and Dad began to buy a few of his recordings in the late 20s and early 30s. Jimmy Rogers was one of the largest influences on me, the music he did, not his actual style. I used to try to yodel when I was a little boy, and I could get all the way up to, I couldn't tell you what note. I can't do that anymore. And when I stopped trying to mimic people on the guitar was when Chet Atkins came along. I loved his music and listened to a lot of it, but I did an album with Chet, but we played our own style. By that time, I'd learned you don't mimic other people when you do a recording with them. You play what you play.
How did you develop your own flat picking style?
I didn't develop it. It just happened. I heard fiddle tunes and tried to fiddle for, 18 months, I guess, and I wasn't much better than a hungry pig on the thing. So I decided I'm going to learn some fiddle tunes on the guitar, and I figured out that if you begin to pick up and down, even strokes, getting the notes coming up and down, you can get them a lot faster without working so hard. And the fiddle tunes, I learned one or two, and didn't do much with it until I heard Grady Martin play guitar in Nashville on Sugarfoot Rag and Hank Garland and those boys, and I thought, hey, if they can play fiddle tunes that smooth, I believe I can learn one or two. So I worked at it.
One of the things I was reading recently also talked about how you used to play on the street. You played on the street to buy your first Martin guitar.
Played on the street a lot back in the early days. It's kind of hard for a fellow that's visually handicapped to get on any kind of radio show. Even by the time I got good enough to be on some of the local hillbilly shows and do the stage show part of it. Playing on the street was a strange but rewarding business. I figured then I was selling something just like I will tonight when that folks buy tickets and come in here. I never felt ashamed of it. I've been asked by different people in interviews, are you ashamed that you played on the street? Why, Lord, no, I'm not. I did play on the street that summer and paid for an old D-28 that I had for a long time. And played on the street for other reasons. After I was married for a while, I used to try to earn, as some old boys used to say, a few pence, a few dollars to kind of help along with Rosalie with the children. We raised 2 children. And the young man out here with me a minute ago was my son Merle's son. He's my grandson, Richard. I like to talk about how it might have been with Blind Lemon Jefferson that did Matchbox Blues and why he wrote it about playing on the street. He must have been in some town, had a long ways to go to get home and not much money and no more matches to sell. So the little match case he carried him in was empty. He wondered if it'd hold his clothes.
There was a time when you traded in that Martin for a Les Paul Standard to play in a band.
Well, yes, but it was one of the first models, and Gibson had made a mistake and wired it wrong. I'll talk about this a minute. I mean, they put the bridge on it wrong, and you couldn't mute the strings and play what you wanted to play. And I took the darn thing off and put a regular bridge on it, like it's on the Les Pauls now. And it didn't look quite as good with my, as Dad used to say, well, my cobbling on it, but it worked. Yeah, that was when I got into a local dance band, and we played some rockabilly, as they want to call it now, and it was really early rock, but light, you know, and a bunch of the old pop standards like Stardust and Basin Street Blues and Birth of the Blues, things like that, you know, that people could dance to. And that was what I did with the Les Paul in the 50s. No hot TV shows or hit records. Just enjoyed playing.
So that was the material that ended up on the Dockabilly?
Yes, most of it that's on the Dockabilly was that. I don't recall that we ever played Thunder Road during the 50s with that band, but
I also read that when I don't know who it was who wanted you to, maybe it was Ralph Rinsler, I don't know, but wanted you to play solo, and you said you didn't think you had the talent to do it?
yeah, I didn't. The way that was, let me clarify that statement a little bit. I didn't understand how people would be that interested in the real, genuine ethnic or old-time music of the area, and I was skeptical about it. But I thought, hey, I need some kind of vocation to really earn a living for my family. I'm tired of charity or picking on the street. I'd like to do something. And I love the music so good. I said, well, buddy, I'll try it. Well, I went to work and got back on a flat top guitar and began to work on the old-timey songs. And to my surprise, and it was a little scary, I'd sit on the stage at a folk festival and play to 1,500 or 3,000 people. And you could hear a pin drop sometimes, unless there was city noise. And man, it was a little scary to get used to that. You knew they were going to hear every mistake you made.
Could you talk a little bit about traditional music for me?
I don't know hardly what to say. I'm not a musicologist. I love everything from ballads to fiddle tunes. This is about as good as I'll do with that question. Mm-hmm. I love everything from ballads to fiddle tunes, and I had to learn a lot about programming from the stage with Ralph Rinsler and what not to play in the days of real folk revival. I loved everything in traditional American music, the ethnic music, if you will, from fun songs like Froggy Went A-Courtin' to serious ballads that told sad stories like the song about the Scottish fellow Geordie, changed to Georgie when it got to America, where it tells about he stole the king's horses, and at that time, and this is an awful thing, but this is the way it was in the Old West too. They hanged the boy for stealing the horses. And all the ballads that express the joys and sorrows and the in-betweens of people's plight in life. That was the main thing I liked about the music, the lyrics and the melodies. That it was just love of music.
Were you surprised at first at the how positive and powerful the audience reaction was? when you started
Very
playing?
surprised. That was what really floored me. They're going to hear all my mistakes, but boy, once you realize they really cared about it, and if there was if you want to look at a piece of antique furniture, if there was a nick and a scratch here and there in the music, they didn't mind at all. They wanted to hear you play the old things. So I got in there and worked on it. Things like Matty Groves, the ballad of Matty Groves. That was a tough one, but I did my guitar arrangement on it and worked it out. That thing's 5 minutes and 30 seconds long, but it tells the tale.
That period, the 60s, the folk revival was a really special time, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, I think, for everybody, and a lot of different people that other than, if it hadn't been for that, never would have gotten into the playing of folk music or westerns or things, you know. The stories on the TV channels then were of the Old West, and Jimmy Driftwood, even Pat Boone got into that and sang a ballad, Moody River. Richard and I will do that tonight. It was, well, it was a very rewarding time.
Would you be willing to talk about some of your memories of playing with Merle?
Yeah. Merle, in the beginning, I didn't really know that he was interested in the guitar until I was on my first solo concert trip, appearing as solo act at the Ash Grove in Hollywood, and concerts at little small college theaters and places over the country. And my agent stopped by the house. At that time, Ralph Rensler was doing the booking and helping me get started. And he called me and said, I've got a surprise for you, I got some news for you. I said, well, if it's bad, lay it on me anyway. And he kind of laughed. He said, Merle has started playing the guitar. By the time I got back, I left home on the 22nd of March, the 17th of March. And at Easter time, Merle decided, that was on up in April a little bit, that year he wanted to learn the guitar. His mama taught him his first chords, and he just took it and went with it. By the time I got home, he could pick some fingerstyle things like Never on Sunday, and that was the 22nd of May when I got back. If I could have learned that fast, oh, Lord, I don't know what I would have given. But, you know, you do what you can. If you love music, you're either unbelievably talented or not. And if you love it good enough, you will learn it.
His fingerstyle playing was beautiful.
And the thing that really, another thing that really was wonderful about working with Merle, he was so good at travel on the road, as good as he was at learning music. He could memorize that blamed city in no time. He'd know right how to go back there if it was a year later. And drove, not hundreds of thousands, but well over 1 million miles. I don't know how many miles that boy drove during the dues paying days, just he and I together. And then we got hired a bass player in the 70s. And later on, a little later in the 70s, we had 2 more fellows join it, and it was Merle's Frosty Morn Band. Traveling with Merle was one of the easiest things in the music that I've done. It was hard in one way, but it was easy. I remember once we went to do the Today Show with Hugh Downs. We flew to New York the day before and got up at 5 o'clock that morning to go down there and do that doggone thing. Yeah, it was a little early for me to sing, but we got a lot of response on it, so I guess I didn't do too bad.
Tell me a little bit about Merle Fest and how and why you started it and what it means to you.
B. Towns, the Dean of Development at Wilkes Community College, and a good friend of mine, the late Bill Young, in '87 came to our house and asked me if I'd do a small concert to put in a little memorial garden in memory of Merle on the college campus. I said, well, sure. Well, we talked about it, maybe 5 minutes, and my wife and daughter, Rosalie and Nancy, popped up and said, well, why don't you hold it over till spring and do a little one-day festival or two and have Merle's friends come, and it'll be even better. And it just grew, mushroomed. And they said, well, let's have it one more year, and it was so much bigger. The first year after the first one, they had it. They decided to run it a while and see what happened. I can't think of a better memorial to someone than they have done, and the festival is family-oriented. I don't know if either of you have ever been there or not, but that was my suggestion, along with my wife and daughter, that we keep it family-oriented. And they don't, if they can help it, they keep alcohol out of there. You know, a little will get in anyway, but we've never had any trouble. Children go to little craft shows, petting farm, all kinds of things. And its success is management, which well managed, and the purpose of it, the reason it's being done, and the music. You know, there's some good ingredients there.
Besides music, what things are important to you? What are the values that you think are important?
Honesty, decency, love of family, and home are the three. Those are the three, and I don't know. I don't like the road and travel, but I love the music, and I still do some of it for two reasons: because I love the music, and I'd like to keep the savings short up enough till I don't have to spend all of them before. I don't know when. You know, a fellow don't know what'll happen. At my age, I'm 76. And I'm still playing a few jobs, nothing like what I did, but I'm doing a few. And I'll keep on. I don't know, I may have evaded your question slightly there, the answer.
Not a bit. You can evade this one too if you like. The other night I was watching one of the Stefan Grossman tapes, and on one of them you do an a cappella version of Amazing Grace. And I listened to that and listened to the last line, was blind but now I see, and wondered if when you sing that song it has a special meaning to you.
It has two meanings, yes. When I leave this world, and these are my honest feelings, I'll be able to see like you can, only maybe more perfect. But blind but now I see meant you were in darkness as far as high morals and caring about why he went to the cross for us. And I understand that. I see it in my heart and mind. And that's the exact values, reason that means so much to me. Those are the two things.